a simple passing moment caught by a camera at the edge of a crowded film set. But those who watched closely, those who had followed Lee Min-ho and Kim Go-eun for years, knew better. Because in that split second, something unspoken unfolded, something that had been building quietly, gently, like the first whisper of dawn before the world wakes. The day began like any other promotional shoot for their new drama. Lights buzzing, crew members rushing, stylists adjusting hair, makeup, collars, sleeves, everything measured, everything on schedule. And yet, even in all that orchestrated chaos, Lee Min-ho found himself scanning the room without really meaning to, searching for someone. Searching for her. Kim Go-eun stood by the corner, reviewing her lines with her dialect coach. Her hair was tied back, her face fresh without the dramatic makeup of her character, making her look softer, almost younger. She laughed at something the coach said, her eyes crinkling, her shoulders relaxing. It was simple, but to him, it was the kind of moment that pulled warmth into the coldest spaces. And that was when it happened. That glance. The one that fans screenshotted 1,000 times. The one that trended before lunchtime. The one that nobody expected to mean anything, yet somehow meant everything. Lee Min-ho didn't even realize he had stopped mid-sentence during his own briefing. The staffer talking to him paused, confused, watching his attention shift across the room. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't obvious, it was just real. His expression softened, the corners of his lips lifting unknowingly, the tension in his jaw easing. A gaze that said more than words ever could. Kim Go-eun looked up just then as if she could feel someone thinking of her. Her eyes met his across the room, quiet, warm, and familiar, and for a moment they were no longer actors surrounded by cameras. They were just two people who had survived a whirlwind of rumors, distance, schedules, and expectations. Two people who kept finding their way back to each other in the smallest ways. She gave him a small smile, not the polite one she often used during interviews, not the tight, professional one required for public spaces, but the one he cherished, the one that reached her eyes, the one that told him she saw him, even when the world didn't. He returned the smile before he could stop himself. The glance lasted barely 2 seconds. But 2 seconds was all it took. Min-ho SSI, are you listening? The staffer finally asked. He blinked, clearing his throat, trying to pull himself back into the conversation. But Go-eun had already looked away, returning to her script, unaware that those 2 seconds would later become the highlight of the day for millions of fans across the world. The shoot continued smoothly, with both actors stepping into their roles effortlessly. They had always been known for their chemistry, subtle, powerful, intuitive, the kind that directors loved because it didn't need to be forced, the kind that made co-stars feel like supporting characters in their scenes, the kind that made fans believe in love again. But something was different today. Something softer. Something unguarded. Something impossible to hide. During a break, Lee Min-ho walked toward the snack table, pretending to browse the neatly arranged energy bars. He wasn't hungry. He wasn't even paying attention to what he was picking up. He was just waiting for the moment he knew would eventually happen. He heard footsteps behind him. He didn't turn immediately. He waited until her reflection appeared beside his in the stainless steel thermos on the counter. Kim Go-eun reached for a small pack of almonds and quietly opened it, leaning her hip against the table. "You're spacing out today," she said lightly, eyes still focused on the almonds. "Am I?" he replied, pretending not to know. She nodded. "You didn't hear half of what the staffer told you earlier." He tried not to smile. "Maybe I was just thinking." She looked up then, eyebrow raised. "About what?" He could have answered with anything. Filming, storylines, scheduling, the usual, but something about the softness of the moment, something about the way her hair had come loose behind her ear, something about how she stood beside him like she always had, comfortable and unafraid, made him say something different. "About someone," he murmured. Go-eun froze for half a second, not visibly, not dramatically, just the way someone freezes when their heart pauses before beating again. She lowered her gaze to the almonds in her hand. "Oh," she said softly, "important someone." "Very," he answered. Their eyes met again, brief, quiet, loaded. But before either of them could say more, their director called them back to set. She walked ahead and he let her, but his eyes followed her warm, steady, unashamed. The next scene was a romantic one. The kind where the characters didn't kiss but their hearts did. A slow walk through a dimly thing shifted. Go-yoon stopped, almost careful, and Min-ho responded instinctively, falling into a rhythm that didn't feel scripted at all. The director stared at the monitor, stunned. The cameraman leaned forward, trying to catch every micro-expression. The sound crew exchanged looks, sensing the tension that thickened the air around them. When the director finally yelled "cut," the entire set exhaled at once. "That was perfect," he said, sounding almost shocked. "I don't even know if we can get that again." Go-yoon blushed slightly, bowing politely. Min-ho just nodded, keeping his expression neutral, though his heartbeat was anything but. After the scene, the two actors stepped aside to review the take on the monitor. They stood shoulder to shoulder, close enough for their arms to brush lightly. The screen replayed their momentra, intense, fragile. "You were different today," Go-yoon whispered. "So were you," he replied. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "If we keep acting like this, people will talk." "Let them," he said softly. She looked at him again, the kind of look that asked a question without words. And he answered it without speaking. Later that afternoon, when Go-yoon left the set to rest, Min-ho lingered behind. He paced near the outside corridor, hands in his pockets, deep in thought. He had spent years controlling his image, filtering his reactions, guarding his emotions. But today felt like a day he no longer wanted to hide. When Go-yoon finally walked out, he stopped her with a quiet, "Go-yoon-ah." She turned, "Yes." He hesitated, not because he was unsure, but because he wanted to get this moment right. "That scene earlier," he began. She waited, eyes steady. "Did you feel it too?" The silence stretched, but it wasn't uncomfortable. She nodded slowly. "I did." A soft, genuine smile spread across his face, the kind he rarely showed in public, the kind reserved for moments that mattered. "I don't want to pretend anymore," he said. Go-yoon inhaled, her expression shifting between fear, hope, and something deeper. "Min-ho SSI, this industry." "I know," he cut in gently. "That's why I'm